Ever heard of a man who hijacked a plane, extorted a fortune, parachuted into a storm, and simply vanished? This isn't a Hollywood blockbuster. It's the very real, very baffling story of D.B. Cooper. And it all started on November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. A man calling himself Don Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 in Portland. He was the picture of an ordinary businessman. Dark suit, crisp white shirt, black tie, and sunglasses. He sat down, ordered a bourbon and soda, and settled in. But this was no ordinary business trip. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper calmly handed a note to a flight attendant. She, like anyone would, assumed it was a pickup line and slipped it into her pocket. Cooper leaned in and said, "Miss, you'd better look at that. I have a bomb." The note confirmed his threat. To prove he wasn't bluffing, he opened his briefcase just enough for her to see a terrifying tangle of red cylinders, wires, and a battery. His demands were surprisingly specific. $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, 2 primary parachutes, and 2 reserve parachutes. He also wanted a fuel truck on standby in Seattle to refuel the plane upon landing. Panic erupted, but not on the plane. The passengers had no idea they were part of a hijacking. On the ground, however, the FBI was in a frenzy. They raced to gather the cash, verifying the serial numbers of every single bill. As Flight 305 circled above Seattle, the crew kept the passengers calm, telling them there was a minor mechanical issue. Once the demands were met, the plane landed. The 36 passengers were exchanged for the money and the parachutes. They walked off the plane, completely oblivious to the high-stakes drama that had just unfolded. Cooper, the flight crew, and a single flight attendant remained. As dusk settled, the refueled plane took off again. But this time Cooper had very specific instructions for the pilots. They were to fly towards Mexico City, but at an unusually low altitude of 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down and the wing flaps at 15 degrees. This specific configuration slowed the plane to just under 200 miles per hour, the slowest, safest speed possible for a jump. Then, somewhere over the rugged, forested terrain of southwestern Washington, in the middle of a raging storm, D.B. Cooper did the unthinkable. He lowered the rear air stairs of the Boeing 727, and with the ransom money strapped to his body, he stepped out into the freezing, rain-swept night and disappeared. What followed was one of the largest and longest manhunts in American history. The FBI combed every inch of the suspected jump zone. They interviewed hundreds of people and investigated over 800 suspects in the first 5 years alone. But they found nothing. No body, no parachute, not a single shred of evidence to suggest what happened to him. Did he survive the treacherous jump into the wilderness? Did he die on impact or succumb to the elements? For years, the case went cold, turning D.B. Cooper from a criminal into a legend. Then, in 1980, a glimmer of hope. A young boy digging in the sand along the Columbia River found 3 decaying bundles of cash. When the FBI got involved, they confirmed the serial numbers matched the Cooper ransom money. But this discovery only deepened the mystery. The money was found far from the projected landing zone, and it raised more questions than answers. How did it get there? Was it buried by Cooper, or did it wash downstream? The rest of the $194,000 was never seen again. Over the decades, theories swirled. Was Cooper an experienced paratrooper? Perhaps a disgruntled military veteran with the skills to pull off such a daring heist? Or was he an amateur who completely misjudged the danger and perished in the forest? The FBI chased countless leads, from ex-convicts to airline employees, but every promising suspect was eventually cleared. After 45 years of dead ends, the FBI officially closed the active investigation in 2016. D.B. Cooper remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in commercial aviation history. He became a folk hero, a modern-day outlaw, who beat the system and got away. His story has inspired songs, books, and movies. He's a symbol of rebellion, a ghost who haunts the skies of the Pacific Northwest. We may never know who D.B. Cooper really was, or what fate befell him after he leaped from that plane. But one thing is certain. He planned and executed one of the most audacious crimes of the 20th century, and left the world with a mystery for the ages. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed diving into stories like this, be sure to subscribe for more.